It's a brand new year and I am excited to see what's in store. Hopefully you are too. Like a true maverick, I wanted to shake things up a bit. I'm introducing a new episode format where I welcome back former lively and interesting guests and we riff about topics without preparation. I'm calling this Maverick Makers Off the Cuff. Of course, we will continue our regular format for most of the time where I speak one-on-one with guests. For our first episode of Maverick Makers Off the Cuff, I'm pleased to welcome back the dynamic CEO and founder of Hereward Farm, Julie Thurgood-Bennett. Starting with a modest dream of planting 40 lavender plants on their extensive 250-acre farm, Julie's venture has now expanded into a fragrant haven with 6,000 lavender plants and 200,000 sunflowers. However, Julie's aspirations extend beyond farming and agritourism. She has created a line of all-natural skincare and home care products, a testament to her hard work, which has gained recognition in renowned magazines such as Vogue and Vanity Fair. Will Greenblatt, author, speaker, coach, and CEO of Out Loud Speaker School, also joins us today. Will started in acting and film and TV at the age of 7, starring in The Homecoming with Oscar winner Anne Bancroft. He graduated from the National Theatre School of Canada in 2010, but the toxic environment of the program left him jaded, so he quit acting. He founded Out Loud Speaker School in 2017, teaching public speaking and communication skills to entrepreneurs and executives. Julie, Will, and I talk all things life, family, and entrepreneurship. I know you will love our candid conversation, so let's go. Here we are in 2025, and I am thrilled to welcome back the amazing Julie from Hereward Farms and Will Greenblatt, who is a speaker, coach, author, you name it, he's that guy. I am so thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. We're doing a really fun and special episode today, which is called Maverick Makers Off the Cuff. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, it means we're just going to totally riff on anything and everything that comes to our minds. It's going to be an open conversation. It's going to be fun. And let's go. Ready for the ride. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so let's start by just, talking about what's in store for 2025. What are those big goals? Julie?
Oh, goodness. I don't do goals. I do dreams because then that's how I hold myself accountable. We have some new products. I have some speaking events coming up, so I might need to talk to Will. But we're easing into our 5th year, some new hires, some changes in management. And so I'm hoping that eases my time because I'm up at the crack of dawn, even earlier. So it's a little overwhelming. 2024 kicked my butt. So I'm trying to have a little more self-care in there for me to balance. So yeah, that's 2025.
I love it. That's some serious goals. Dreams.
Yes, dreams.
Can I ask, Julie,
Yeah.
on the farm, does it require you to be up at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. kind of thing?
No, that's just a natural innate ability that I hate. But we don't have any animals other than dogs and children. And a cat, Gordy, who's semi-famous. But no, I get up and that 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. is like an 8-hour day for me. Like I have no one bugging me. I can, go through my emails or go pack orders before, and all those kind of things that I can kind of get taken away. Because as soon as I step into that store and clients come in, they want my time. And so there's no more.
Yeah. That's the time you get the stuff you want to get done.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like a senior citizen. Like I would like to eat at 4 p.m. and I would like to be in bed by 8, but that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think we need to learn that one. The getting up at the crack of dawn, because
Oh,
Yeah, my daughter just dictates my wake up time every day, and sometimes it's 5 a.m. and sometimes it's 7:45 or like right before we have to take her to daycare. So it's like I need to take back control of the wake ups, I think, because right now there's no routine. Yeah, and it's all over the place. And I don't have that morning time, which I used to really crave to get stuff done. I never really woke up before 6 though, before I had a daughter. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I never could find I think I'm very much not a morning person, so I could never find that discipline or self, whatever it is, masochism, whatever. I don't know. I couldn't find that in myself to get up, but I would just sort of do it. I'm a big wimp. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but I'm a big wimp for sleep. I find myself, if I don't get 7 and 8 hours, I suck at everything. So I do kind of lean on that these days.
I don't know what that's like. Because I get 6 hours. Anything longer than that, I feel like I'm hungover.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I need my beauty sleep. Sorry, guys. Like,
Yeah, no, me too. I'm awful. And I used to, get 3 hours, 4 hours, because I used to have really bad problem sleeping. I used to kind of be borderline insomniac, and I would just never sleep or hardly sleep. And I functioned, and that was how I lived. And then now I'm like, if I get 7.25 hours of sleep, I'm like, oh, yeah.
wow. I want to ask a question, and then we'll go back to Will's goals and dreams. But question is there's this, I don't know if it's I don't want to use the word stereotype. There's some whatever going around that, highly successful people have to wake up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. I saw the eye roll there. Although you do wake up early.
I do.
What do you think?
I think it's bull, because I think I was never a good 9 to 5er, because by 3 o'clock I've always petered out. My brain starts. If I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, I'm in trouble, because then I'm like, oh no, like it's just gonna come. Where I look at my husband, and he could work till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I absolutely could not do that. I don't know. I think it's how you spend your day. It's I don't know. Like, I wouldn't put that on me. I wouldn't go, I'm so successful because I get up before you guys even like roll out of bed, and I'm already got half my day done, right? So it's I never really thought of it that way, but I saw that the whole 5 a.m. get up and you're amazing. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna get a shirt that says that, Queen of the Worlds, because I get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think that's it. It's something you can point to, like not you, but something that somebody on Instagram or LinkedIn can point to and be like, this is the secret to my success. And then you're kind of like, okay, A, I don't even believe that you wake up at that time every day. B, I don't even believe you're successful as you say you are. And C, different ways of doing things. It's like, yeah, and that's what I try to keep in mind, is that there are trends and there are moments and things that are in vogue to kind of say and get on the bandwagon of, because they seem like a fashionable statement to make. Mark, what is his name? Facebook guy. How am I blanking on his name? Zuckerberg. The whole masculine energy thing, right? Like he's so clearly playing to a moment in like U.S. politics and like culture right now. It's so insincere, like to me at least. It seems so not real and not what he thinks, but a kind of like a trend bandwagon hopping on. And so so I think that's one of those for sure. The 5 a.m. hustle gang, If we're really not successful,
we need that on a t-shirt. Hustle gang.
Yeah. Would you need to post it on LinkedIn if you were doing that well? I think you just get about your day and not tell anyone about it.
I double dog dare you. Send me a t-shirt. I'm wearing it.
Hustle gang. Oh. But it's true, right? Because I think it kind of crosses that part where it's like, well, if you don't, you're not successful. And people have very different abilities. I like the fact that I can have that peace and quiet. No one's asking me questions. I can get whatever I need to do. And there's a lot on my plate. Like, I'm still this tiny little company that does a lot myself. So I don't know if it's made us successful. I think my drive and just taking my own path and not really giving a crap is probably why it's successful. I don't know. I don't think it's the 5 a.m. thing. I wish that I could sleep in. So
You
yeah.
keep bringing up really good points. So let's talk about not giving a crap.
Wait, we have to hear Will's
We are.
dreams.
We are.
Okay.
We're going to go there.
Okay, good.
But not
Yep.
giving a crap. Tell me about not giving a crap. Will.
Funnily enough, I'm reading the book, The Courage to Be Disliked right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys read it or have yeah. It kept kind of popping up in my sort of circle of people recommending it, being like, this book will change your life. I don't know if it's changing my life, but it's very interesting and quite helpful for me as a really, really hopeless people pleaser. Not hopeless, but close to it. And so, yeah, I have definitely found in my life that the more I'm able to feel okay about being who I am and being disliked or letting somebody just not find that appealing or attractive or compelling or whatever, or judging it from afar, just the more I'm able to be okay with that, the better kind of I've done career-wise. And my main thing is I deal in communication and, let's say, charisma. Unfortunately, that's kind of like a component that I teach and work on in myself, in the sense of I would like to stand up on a stage or get on a video and have people think that I am warm and competent, which is Vanessa Van Edwards' charisma formula, as she found in the science. And so I think about that. But instead of the intention being, I hope they like me, I just go, okay, I am naturally a warm person, and I can do some things to make sure that people understand that I am competent at least in my field of domain, like my domain expertise. So that becomes my intention, rather than, oh, I hope they like me. I'll disagree with whatever they say to make them like me, or I'll just say, yeah, I'll do that project for you for 9 years, exclusivity contract for $7. Sure, like no more of that. Yeah, so I'm starting to, I've been sort of raising my prices steadily, but now this year I'm going to definitely raise my speaking fee, because I've been undercharging for far too long. And I'm going to be raising my my coaching fees as well. And just not worry that if some people look at the price, go, oh, that's ridiculous. You just go, oh, yeah, totally. For you, that might be totally ridiculous, and that's fair. But for me, this is what makes sense, and for the people who need it, and for what they get out of it. So yeah, I think that's the not giving a fuck or crap or whatever word. Yeah.
I'll let me say. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that value, like that's a big thing, right? And everyone goes through that. It's like, oh, I don't want someone to be upset when I'm priced. Like, and we all have that entry level. My biggest thing I always tell businesses when they go, oh, just so you know, there's a price increase coming. No one cares. Like, no one needs to know. You don't need to draw. Like, Starbucks doesn't tell you, hey, we're putting our coffee up. They just put their coffee, right? They send out a press release saying you're not allowed to sit in your cafe anymore and not buy anything, which I don't know who's doing that, but not giving people not like me. I think I'm so self-aware that I really don't give a shit. Like, I don't. If you don't like me, you don't like me. I don't like lots of people. What I don't like is disrespect, because we may not like each other, but if I see you in public, hi, doesn't mean we have to go for coffee. Doesn't mean, but I don't like rudeness, and that blows my mind, because it is hurtful, because it takes you back to that grade 3 whatever moment that you kind of went through. But I go through my day, and Michelle and I talked about this, everything I do is with intention and care. And that comes from, probably losing my parents very early. I never want anyone to feel like they don't care. Like, people come in all the time. That's part of my experience, and it's true of who I am. And that's what my business is about. So when it's like, what's your brand's messaging? I'm like, to be nice, to care, like from every touch point, anything that has anything to do. I don't want to be a company that you have to fight to get your money back if something happens. I want to add that, like, for example, I have a person that buys a lot of stuff from me in the States, and she wrote a review and said, I love everything lavender. I wish your room spray was a little bit stronger, LOL. Promptly, I sent her a bottle of essential oil. She actually emailed me and said, oh my God, did I offend you? And I said, no, I want you to enjoy the product. And I think it's a nice surprise that you get something, like, the good and the bad, I have to hear it all. So that self-awareness and that care that I give back is probably, I just don't care. If you don't like me, you don't like me. Right. So
that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing that, I often wish more businesses had that mindset. It's how I tried to run my business when it was a business like of multiple people. As a boss, I always tried to think, I don't want people to be working for me and feeling undercompensated. So when people would ask me for a raise, I would just be like, okay, it's fair.
Yep.
Nobody ever asked for anything crazy. And I just said, yeah, you've been working here for a while. You've been doing great. Take the raise. And also that sense of, not wanting to make it this thing of disconnecting from our humanity when it comes to business is like, it's so prevalent, and it's only going to get worse with AI. I'm sorry to bring that up at this early morning hour, but like, the more things are automated, the less human connection we feel, right? You remember the fucking automated voice messaging when that started happening in the 90s or whatever, when every company you would call, certainly in Canada, all the phone companies. And it's because they don't give a fuck. Who are you going to go to? You'll be with Rogers or you'll be with Bell. And then you'll get mad at one of them and you'll go back to the other. And it's a fucking duopoly that you can't escape. So they just don't give a fuck. And I remember being on the phone with Rogers when I was moving to Spain. I was like, I'd like to cancel my contract or get out of it. They're like, oh, sorry, you signed a 2-year contract with us. And I was like, okay, but I will not be able to use this. Is there anything you can do for me? They're like, nah, you signed the contract. And I remember the lack of giving a fuck in the person's voice. And I was just like, oh, they just don't care. And I think, especially with small business owners, we've got to not be that if we want people to enjoy their interactions with us. I want to just say one thing, Julie, I want to ask you really, how old were you when your parents died?
15. And then my mother got sick when I was 18 and was in the hospital till she died when I was 30. So I've essentially, my husband jokes that I'm a lone wolf. I totally am a lone wolf. And I'm actionable, like everything has been under my control, right? So at 18, if I couldn't pay my rent, I didn't have a place to go, or if I lost my job or whatever, all these things, I had to grow up immediately. So I think, but now I have teenage angst and I have the humor of a 9-year-old boy with my kids and I think it's hilarious. But but I think that's like when I hate when people say to me, oh, I'm so sorry your parents died. And I'm like, what are you sorry for? Like, that's life. Like, I hate to say that, and the probably is going to come off cold, but I don't have to deal with aging parents either. And I had wonderful parents, and I would do it all. Like, I would do the same thing again. I would choose my parents the same, if this was going to be the exact same way it was going to turn out. They gave me a lot of values. My parents always made us be who we are and proud of who we are. So I just always have carried that. So I think it just
Beautiful.
But I probably am self-aware to a fault because it's constantly in my head. Constantly, which probably comes on the cusp of judgment, not dislike, where you're like, please don't judge me, who I am, what I say, what I do. Don't want to be too much of a bitch, but I kind of am, but I'm not. And So like, and dealing with it, like dealing with a woman in business, like there's men that would speak to me, would never speak that way to my husband or staff. Right. And so I have fired people for that. Where I've gone, no, I own the company. Last time I checked, right? And I hate pulling that, but that's staffing's a whole other nice ball.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for telling me. Yeah, just the reason I asked, I lost my brother when I was a teenager, and that was like the big, event that kind of shaped me from that point on in my life. And it affected me just like so deeply, and I it was interesting when you mentioned that because it makes me think about a lot of entrepreneurs I know who have a similar story and certainly the lack of safety net growing up of not being able to be like, and for me, I've had such a wonderful support system, like with right now, like my wife and I are living in my mom's basement apartment with our daughter, and it's amazing. And grandma's right upstairs and we have cheap rent and it's like this beautiful, beautiful gift, but it is a safety net, right? And it was interesting. And so I do meet a lot of entrepreneurs who have that insane hustle, and then I hear their story and it's like, oh, I grew up without my parents, or we grew up really poor, or my parents were entrepreneurs and we lost everything multiple times, And so it makes me understand that work ethic and I respect the shit out of it.
This question made me super emotional because the same, not, to this point, but I also lost my dad, it was almost like 17 years ago. And it was that like grief getting over like all that stuff. And I think that gets me to the point of resilience. I think resilience is one of the most important things in life, and especially being an entrepreneur. And then the other thing that drives me crazy is on the other side is when you see people out there who really attach themselves to labels like I lost my mom, or I'm a single parent, or I'm this, and it's like I get crazy. What do you think?
Oh, I remember when I was a single mom and someone said to me something about couponing. I don't even know what it was. And I was like, and she goes, well, you should know what it's like being a single mom. And I was like, I am? Is that how you, cause I treat myself like I was a widow and was financially independent of I never really put it that way. And it is, or people don't get over it. And I think, oh my God, like you're 5 years in, like you've got to, like, it's always going, you've got to evolve. You are different. And love leaves that grief and it's always going to be there. How you see it, like you got to dust your knees off and get back up and keep going. Because if you stay in that, you're just going to stay in that. It's like when people always talk negatively, all that's going to spin around. But yeah, no, it is. I don't like labels. Like I don't. And I think it's funny because some people be like, oh, you never talk about your parents. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Tell you they're dead? Like, I don't know. Right. Like, I don't know what you want me to say, but yeah, like I do use that in humor. I have very dark humor. Like I'll say to my husband all the time, I'll be like, well, you didn't have to buy presents for my parents this year because they're dead. I guess they're not showing up for Christmas this year. Like,
now, but me and my wife, I think the only reason that we're not the only reason, obviously, but one of the big reasons that we are together and love each other so much is because we both have hideously fucked up senses of humor, and so we have to kind of play nice out in the world, and then we get home and we're just like, oh fuck.
That's why the three of us are talking today, because I think we roll the same way, which is amazing. Yeah. Let's go back to your goals because it's important, Will. Let's talk about your gols for 2025. This is an ADD conversation, just FYI.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I got informally diagnosed as a kid and never really took it seriously. But again, the label thing, it's hard to, you don't want to get too bogged down in that. But the goals are for me to create, a revenue machine based off mostly speaking and coaching, not having to also. I'll often take these kind of longer jobs that are sort of lower paying, but because they're longer, the contract is worth more, and then I'll kind of commit to it. And then by the end, I'm like, man, I did way too much work for not enough money, and was also not able to build my company more while I was doing this other work. And so I think for me, the goal is, well, I had a revenue goal, if that's interesting to. The revenue goal is to surpass 350K because then I can join the Entrepreneurs Organization Accelerator. Are you a member of EO, Michelle?
Oh, what was it called? Sorry.
No. Oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. Julie, I don't know if you've heard of them or are a member or anything. Yeah, I've spoken for them a million times, and I just love the vibe because they're kind of like it's a really cool organization that has chapters all over the world, and it's just sort of entrepreneurs, but not just tech founders, which was my other kind of soup that I was swimming in for 7 years. And they're all really generous with their time and their mentorship. And I, it just seems like a great organization to be in, let alone speak in front of. And I've wanted to join them for a while, but I haven't met the revenue requirements. So if I can surpass 350K with the speaking and the coaching, then I'll qualify, and then I plan to join.
Awesome.
What was it called again?
EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. Yeah.
That's a wonderful goal. A lot of people don't like speaking about revenue. So let's talk like what's the uncomfortable part, and good for you to just laying it on, when people they're like, I think it's important. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a level of transparency that a lot of people aren't comfortable with because they kind of want to keep that, especially for social media, they want to keep that ability to appear more successful than they are. And so, if I say, hey, my goal is to make 350K this year because I haven't qualified for the revenue criteria for this organization that I really want to join. And then people know that I've never made $1 million in a year. And for me, that, part of me is still like, oh, do I want to admit that? But also it's like, fuck it, it's real. And I don't want to pretend to be more successful than I am. I've done things that I can be proud of without having to lie and without having to inflate anything. One mistake that I'm really ashamed of was when I was writing the back for my book, the synopsis for my book. I had just had a conversation with a financial or a fractional financial consultant. And he said, I could value your company right now at a multi-million dollars because of the sort of projected revenue that you're building at currently. And so I took that thing of, I could valuate your company at multi-million dollars. And when I wrote the synopsis for the back of my book, I wrote the multi-million dollar company out loud speaker school. And then that's in print now. And I look at it, I'm like, it was never a multi-million dollar company. What the fuck was I thinking? And I'm so embarrassed about that because I'm like, I know how I made that mistake, but now I'm just like, oh, that's not true. And now I feel like a liar. So I don't want to do that. And I don't want to inflate things to make myself feel better, to project success. I'd rather be honest and real and transparent. And trust that that's going to build trust with fewer people rather than impress a larger number of people with something that's bullshit. So that's why I think honest revenue discussions can be really important.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to call you out on that write-up on your book. Like
you saw the book when you're like, this guy.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I did.
Liar. But it's funny because people are still interested in that. Like they want like your success comes from, and I'm on the other side, and Michelle called me out on it because I am not a bragger. Like and then my husband he's like, we've been in Vogue of Dave here. And I'm like, shut up. That's bragging, but it's not bragging, but it's uncomfortable for me. Because I glow in my own way and I just don't have to, because I hate when people are like, oh, did you know I did this, and I'm so amazing. And I'm like, well, no one really cares. Like, just show it. But like, I'm still in awe. Like, I'm still going in 5 years and going, oh shit, we hit like $500,000. Like what? But it comes with this long line of work. Like I've never worked so hard in my life. Like I had a marketing agency. I loved it because it was all service-based. I didn't have to worry about inventory, staff, whatever, and was just raking in the money, right? And so this is a whole other being of a beast, of a whim that I don't even know whose life I'm still living. Like this is not, honestly, this all started during COVID and I didn't need to start anything. And probably I'm undiagnosed ADHD, OCD. I don't even know, whatever. Let's just, but it's not in my husband's head, he is like, he's very like, if we hit here, this is what you need to do every single day. And I look at him and I'm like, that's really great, but you're not on the ground running. And I said, but we'll get there, champ. We'll do. But then that comes with the whole other, it takes my company to the next level. And am I prepared to take my company to the next level and things start to crumble, right? I'm comfortable. I had staffing issues, which hopefully are ironed out now. Supply issues, which are always constant. And and then fighting for space. And right. And getting in people's hands and talking the talk and walking the walk and which way should I do this? And so, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the t-shirt, Hustle Gang. So so definitions of success. So there is that constant hustle and you've never worked so hard in your life. And I'm completely in that with you. But what does success really mean? So is it all about the revenue? I'll tell you that I went to Europe this summer and it opened my eyes again about the different kinds of lifestyle. It's very different. Their success, of course, they don't have millions in the bank, but they take the deep breath. They smell the roses. They're by the ocean. They're eating clean. They're enjoying family. We're very different here in North America. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I talk about this a lot in my content / speaking, like about this sort of success. But for me, because I'm still relatively young and sort of, I don't necessarily feel like I can lecture certainly anyone older than me, but also just like yeah, I still feel a bit unconfident to come out with like my definition of success when I still have all these things I feel like I haven't hit yet. But just based on principle, like I had a client the other day, and you know, he was talking about how he frames his offer, and like he's talking about pitching to people with families and young kids and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll tell you this. The other day, my wife and I lifted up a blanket and we read to our daughter under the blanket, and she was just giggling and shrieking with laughter. And we were like nuzzling and cuddling and kissing each other, and just like, you cannot purchase that. You just simply cannot. And so it's a cheesy sort of cliche thing to say, but that's what's valuable. And unfortunately, you need money so that you can do that stress-free. You know, if you're under the blanket, but your mind is like, fuck, we owe $60,000 to the government, you know, you can't enjoy the blanket really. You know, or you could if you're really good at meditation and stuff. But most people can't. Like if you've got financial worries, it's really hard to enjoy that quality family time. So so for me, it's kind of obvious that it has to be a balance. And when you work really hard, but it's for something you love and for something that you feel like is building a future for you and your family, at least in my experience, I love working hard because of what it's for, and the work itself, which I enjoy so much. And there's so much bullshit attached to it. I don't want to send out cold emails to event planners to try to get on their stage. It fucking sucks, but I know what it gets me. And so, yeah, I think success has really got to be about your personal life first, but also to know that work that you think matters to you and allows you that lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with working really hard at that, as long as you're not missing the quality time with your family.
What about you,
Yeah.
Jill?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. Like, I think the foundation of your own like care and love, like if you don't stop, like this past year for me was extreme. And we used to travel a lot. I don't think I left the farm. Like there's weeks that I don't leave here. And I get in a comfort zone of that. But my success is twofold, similar to yours, is that I want my family to be happy. And I want to spend quality time. Like I still make my family dinner every night, and I don't have time to do that.
Mhm.
The youngest is like 16. But I love it. They're gonna laugh when they watch this because sometimes I do yell at them, going, "Why can't you start dinner? Why is everyone?" With a little more swear words. But then on top of my business, I think it's such a personal thing for me. To have that, like I never had an attainable goal to go, this is where my business is going to go. When I had the marketing agency, absolutely. How are we going to make money? How are we going to, get new clients, et cetera, et cetera. This has taken its legs. So I feel like I'm doing catch up to, like, I'm behind my company that just keeps rolling right along. And I don't know what I measure success with Hereward Farms. I guess that there's money in my bank account. There's product on the shelves. There's still a forward path, and there's still, we're moving forward. My biggest thing is I'm like, well, what happens if I don't achieve anything as big as going into Vanity Fair? Like, was that the big hoo-ha and that's it? Am I going to peter down now? Cause that's how our businesses go. How do I make the right decision? Which path do I go? Is this, do I work with this company to do influencers, or do I spend my money here? How do I bring that success? I don't know how to answer that. Like, I don't know what part do I sit back and go, oh, okay, I reached that pinnacle where that notch in my belt. I guess if someone offered to buy everything, then I'd be like, oh, I made it. Okay, sure. Now I can retire and move to Italy and do whatever I want to do. But yeah.
You guys see that article written by the CEO of, maybe it was Loom or some big tech company that got acquired, and the CEO wrote this thing, and it was quite controversial because people were just like, fucking boohoo, buddy. But he wrote it in that sense of like, I know nobody's going to give a shit about this, that it's like a totally ridiculous problem, but I just want to be honest about what's going on. He got like 100 hundreds of $1 million payout or maybe less, but like, you know, the company was bought for hundreds of millions, close to $1 billion, I think. And he got this insane paycheck. And he's like, I'm literally miserable and purposeless. I have no idea what to do with myself. And so I just thought that was interesting. And you know, I think about that a lot because I have this restlessness in myself right now of going, we're living in my mom's basement. You know, I would love to have our own house and our own property and be able to, like, you know, have some space. I'd love to live in a safer neighborhood, frankly. You know, like all this stuff, but I have a drive and I have a purpose and I have a mission that really kind of lights a fire under me every day. And I imagine that, like, if that were to be bought and purchased from me and give me a big paycheck where I didn't have to work anymore, I can imagine myself being quite adrift. And what I think about myself, though, is like what I love is working with people. So whether that's speaking or coaching, I just and I love writing too and connecting with people online. So I would hopefully want to do that and then like turn that knowledge or whatever into that kind of communication with people. But who knows if I'd be able to do that or if I would just also be lost and without having to do it, if I would be able to care as much as I do now. So yeah, I think wishing for something that you don't have is probably one of the pathways to not loving your life. And so I'm really trying to stay with that right now. It's just going like, I have a beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful wife. I have an awesome dog. I love spending time with them. I love the fucking work that I do. Everybody wants more money pretty much. So I can be okay with that and just keep enjoying the present and the process. It's hard. It's so much easier said than done, but that's my intention.
I love that.
I feel like I'm making this so heavy.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that loom exam. If it was loom, that's really,
it's
that's super interesting. And I don't think people realize that. And you know what, now that you pose that, so if that is, you know, everybody wants an exit and a payout, it's the same thing as like, you know, I was here, 3 more years to retirement or this, that, and I'm going to do this, that. And people are like, when are you going to retire? I was like, you know what? It's not in my DNA. I will never retire because honestly, I like working. I like it. I am a bit of a workaholic, but I like it.
This is my retirement plan. You can buy a lavender farm and
you know what's funny?
Like I had like, when I had the agency, like I had a 5-year plan, right? And so my business partner, she's 8 years younger, or was like, we're not business partners now, but I was always building that company for her.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going to happen after that. I knew I wasn't going to stop, but I was like, that's my exit plan. And then when this started and I was like, okay, this is my retirement, like as a joke. And now I worked harder and it's blown up. And even my husband's like, and my husband's an engineer, like he helps run this business, but he has his own engineering firm. Like that poor man, I don't know how he's putting up with all of us. And me going, hey, can you help? But, this, like, I joke when I say I want to move, like I would sell it all, move to Italy. And then someone goes, yeah, why? So you would like start making wine and start a whole new brand. And I'm like, oh crap. That's exactly what would happen. Like I would never be able to stop. And I have to stop myself sometimes, even how busy I am, to be like, oh, that would be really neat. Like I do speaking events and I would love for that to like take off. But it's like, how do I fit that in? Because I really don't have any time and I would love to do it. It's like the new shiny coin. Like, ooh, it gives you that kick. It gives you that thrill that we all know what that's like, right? Where you, that excitement that stuff becomes a little mundane that you do every day. So, I mean, I would love to write a book. It's on my radar, but when will that happen? Because I don't even see my friends. My friends think that I don't like talk to them and I love them all, but it's, you know, that's the whole other one when people go, we don't see you. You don't go out. And I'm like, you're like number 40 of my list of people that I would love to see because it's tough. Like I have no social life, which is okay because I entertain myself all the time. But it's not on my radar. I hardly have time to have dates with my husband. So, you know, it's not a priority.
I just want to say, Julie, you are living my wife's dream life, stable dream life. she wants to just live on a farm where nobody bothers us and we just get to hang out on the farm all day. Like that's her dream life. So it's just, it always goes to show that, the grass is greener and whatever you think whatever you think somebody's got it made, there's always that thirst for something different and new. And as you say, I wonder if that's always not such a bad thing too, just like to like if you were to go to make wine in Tuscany or whatever, because
Right?
maybe if you didn't, you would just be miserable and bored. And so maybe that desire to do something is like, it's kind of good. Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows where it's
I
gonna
don't
go?
know.
Right? Like I have no idea. Because if you would have asked me, 20 years ago, like where I would have been, there would have been no way. I was a corporate, I was at McDonald's and I was at Dell and I was like, I guess this is what I just do. And I had no desire to ever be a VP or anything else. I just wanted to make more money and be at a job that wasn't shitty, which is
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And so I never really had that desire. And it was always like, I know I'm a strong type A, but if there's another type A in the room, I'm like, I don't need to prove. I don't need to pee all over everybody. I know who I am. I don't need to, and I'll respect that you want to come in like a choo-choo train. So that's one of my, I'm kind of an anomaly. I don't know. My husband says like I'm the most outgoing introverted person he knows. And I am like, I think I can wear two hats, and that's probably an entrepreneur, right? Where you do cherish some of the times you're just a big contradiction. But that was never my desire. Like it was never my desire to be on the top of the mountain. And it still is not my desire to be on the top of the mountain. I have fun at what I'm doing. And I think everyone thinks their perception of me is very different of how I'm truly living my life. I get to run a company that I get to play all day. So how is this working into what it is? Like if I want to create a new product, I just go, I don't have to answer to anyone, right? I don't have to, if I decide to do something weird and whack, it just doesn't matter. And I love that. But that's how I live my life anyways. Like my poor husband, like God, he deserves an award because that's how I live my life. Like I'm true, like this, how I run my business is how I live my life.
Love it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the freedom of being an entrepreneur and then passing that on to our children. Is that something important to you, that entrepreneurial spirit? Or do you want to say, hey, you don't want this for you, go get a real job?
I want them to work for other people. So, here's example of my son I was just talking about this morning. So he's was going to be a police officer, but it was during COVID, didn't have a great experience online, took a year off, worked with me. Now he's finished his HVAC, but he's still working with me. So he was finished in December. And I was like, so like, I love having you work here, but I don't want to influence you. And I want you to live your own life. But selfishly, I would love for you to stay because he's such a key member. And so he goes, oh, don't worry, I'll give you 2 months notice. I'm like, okay. And then he informs me that he's 2 classes short, which he knew that he was 2 classes short because, that's what a 22-year-old boy does. And I'm like, so that means you're staying like all through the summer? And part of me is so excited because I don't want him to leave. I honestly, if I had to say it, I'd be like, no, I want him to stay. I made him assistant manager. I would hand over the business to him in a heartbeat. He's the only, like my daughter's interested, but she wants to go into marketing, which I'm really proud of. And I will help you do that because I want you to, eventually own your own business. Like that. I don't want you working for someone else the rest of your life. I really don't. I don't know what benefit that comes out of it. I'm hoping one kid takes it over and maybe he'll just never do HVAC. That's fine. I'll be that bad mom. So
You're not a bad
Yeah,
mom.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I think it's also like, I think parents forcing something on us sometimes is a gift. Like my parents forced music on me, and now it's like one of the most important things to me. And like they didn't force it on me to start, but they forced it on me to continue and to practice and to go to lessons and to go to the rehearsals and so they definitely like insisted that I do this thing and continue to do this thing. And so for me that was really important. But my parents are artists, so I don't come from that business background at all. Like I was one of the, as a joke, I was one of the only Jewish people who like went into business and his parents were ashamed of him. Like, yeah, like I opened up a business and my parents like, what are you doing? You should keep being an actor. And so, yeah, it for me, like, I certainly want to have a healthy influence on my daughter in terms of, and also just learning the skill set of entrepreneurship, whether or not she runs her own business or starts it. But like, to me, entrepreneurship is just problem solving and storytelling. I don't know if there's much more to it really than that on a high level. And so like, if you can solve problems and you can tell stories, what a beautiful skill set to have for whatever you do. So I kind of want, as she's growing up, to give her this kind of entrepreneurship education that I've managed to cobble together since starting my own business, I guess 10 years ago, my first one. So yeah, I just wanted to learn the skill sets that have served me so well. And then once she knows that, then it's like, okay, now take that and do whatever you want with it. But my wife and I always have this like argument because I'm like, I don't care if she goes to university. My wife is like, excuse me, she's going. And so that's, we'll see who wins. Probably my wife will, because that's usually what happens. But yeah, I really couldn't care less if she ends up getting an education, because I didn't. Right. And my wife did. My wife has her master's. So obviously
I didn't either. So I got kicked out of school.
Right. And I think there's many paths, to success. My wife is crushing it in her career. I'm so proud of her. She has the great job, and she just got an agent for her writing. She's a fiction author, and I'm just like so proud of her. She's just crushing it. But she had a different path. And so my point is like, I'm really happy with my career. My wife's really happy with her career. We took different tracks. There's multiple, multiple ways to get there. So I just want my daughter to know that and not feel that she has to start her own business to make daddy happy, or that she has to go to school to make mommy happy, but that she learns. My wife's a great student and great at studying and at doing, like, that's how she got an agent. She systematically sent out queries and blah, blah, blah. So that's the skill set I don't have. So I want her to learn how to study and how to stick with something and be consistent and diligent and organized. And, I want her to get that from her mother. And then I want her to get the creativity and the optimism and the spontaneity and the people skills and stuff from me. And yeah.
This was a super, super fun conversation. I want to leave everybody with these two last thoughts that Will put together, which is for entrepreneurship, something to really think about is problem solving and storytelling. I think those are really beautiful. And for sure, both of you have both those skills. You have to watch Julie on social, because she's literally my, like, in Spanish, they call it telenovela, like my soap opera. I watch her and I just crack up. And
you're going to be an amazing speaker, Julie. That's great. That's amazing. Yeah.
I don't know how she does it. I think especially, coming from a content creation background, I'm just like, this woman's just naturally just a performer. I think it's amazing. And obviously Will is a natural performer. We all know that. So storytelling and problem solving, I think that's brilliant. Thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it. I had so much fun.
Thank you. It was amazing. And nice to meet you, Will.
Yeah, you too, Julie. It was really fun doing this with you.
The Maverick Makers Podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.